Well, for those of you who are not aware, there has been a shooting in Pennsylvania, and it was concerning our president, hopeful Donald Trump. And there were possible shots fired. The way they're actually covering this story here, and this is the way they say it. They say Trump allies and opponents react after possible shots were fired at the rally. Now, according to many of the news sources, they say that there was a person who was in the trees somewhere hiding in the trees. Now, I'm going to do a text talk to this story here because it kind of gives the details. Let me see if I can just have it talk to you and tell you. Start speaking here, and maybe you can hear it
Both
here.
political allies and opponents of Donald Trump are responding with serious concern after possible shots were fired toward the former president at a rally in Pennsylvania. The Secret Service says Trump is safe after agents rushed him off the stage after what appeared to be multiple shots were fired at the rally. The former president pumped his fist in the air in a show of strength, blood streaming across his face and ear. ESA Solar Oklahoma can cover the cost to install solar if you live
Well,
in
that
East
is not part of
occurred
it.
the evening of July 13th at a Trump rally in Pennsylvania. USSS spokesperson Anthony Guglielmi said in a statement, "The Secret Service has implemented protective measures and the former president is safe. This is now an active Secret Service investigation and further information will be released when available." The president and the vice president have been briefed on the incident, but have not yet commented. Trump critics responded with concern for the president's safety, condemning the violence. "I am horrified by what happened at the Trump rally in Pennsylvania and relieved that former President Trump is safe," Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said in a statement. "Political violence has no place in our country. Violence targeted at any political party or political leader is absolutely unacceptable," Pennsylvania Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro said on X.
Okay, well, I don't know. It went out, and so yeah. Anyway, this is a developing story right now, and so I'm doing a search for just about everything on the internet. Again, it says again the whole story is Trump's allies and opponents react after possible shots fired at the rally. Now, the rally was shown on a video just now, and on the video they did show that there was shots fired. That's what they were showing, and the shots that rang out after the shots were fired, the Secret Service rushed him off stage, and this is some of the headlines here. Trump abruptly pushed from. Let me see. Let's go here. This one here. Trump abruptly pushed from briefing after shots fired outside White House. Okay. And it says this was 2020. Okay, that's not the one that we're looking for. That's another news story. I'm just kind of here trying to get this news story here. Let's move up. Okay, so right, this is Pennsylvania right here. Secret Service rushed him off stage here. Let's go to this one here. There it is there. So let's see, there might be some commotion.
Trump is, as his campaign says, fine. He is well enough to speak. He is well enough to be on the phone, at least with his immediate family members, at least with his son, Donald Trump Jr. We know that he is receiving medical treatment at a local facility with this rally happening, of course, in Butler, Pennsylvania. And we know that there has been a slew of reaction, as Kristen, as you, as others have talked about from both sides of the aisle here, strongly condemning political violence after this very difficult day in American politics. Lester, we'll keep you updated as we get more.
All right, Hallie, thank you. Kip Tom, former U.S. ambassador to the UN, was just a few yards from the former president when the shots rang out. Thank you for joining us, sir. Can you tell us what you saw?
Well, I was just with the president a few moments earlier before he came on stage, and everything seemed like a normal day. But when he walked down that red carpet and walked up to the podium, and after he spoke for about 10 minutes, I was sitting in the front row at the end of the runway, but all of a sudden these shots broke out. And I think there was people that actually thought it was possibly fireworks, but I seen the gun smoke, and obviously there was a person about 15 foot behind me that was hit. I think severely wounded at the least, but nonetheless, the crowd stayed pretty calm for the most part. And but you know, it sounded like there was 6, 7 shots to start with, and then it seemed like there was a little pause, and then we heard a different caliber gun fired, which I assume is probably the Secret Service. But then I thought I heard another couple of rounds come off, but it felt like it was behind me. But it could have been the echo.
Did you hear did President Trump say anything?
No, he was just giving the typical rally speech that he typically does everywhere, you know, and trying to encourage voters to get out and vote, and talking about his plan for America.
But as the shots rang out, did he cry out? Did someone tell him to get down, or was that instinctive?
Yeah, we heard that. We heard everybody say, get down, but I think he was already going down. That's when everybody thought at first maybe he had been hit more severely than he was. I mean, it's already severe. And let's face it, it hit his ear. It could have been a little bit closer. It could have been disastrous. But when he went down to the ground, then he got up, he put his fist up in the air, or his hand up in the air, so we knew he was okay.
There are presumably, at least it appears to be, a lot of people in that crowd. By now you have heard that one spectator was killed and others critically wounded. Has it settled in of how close a brush everybody in that arena or setting came tonight?
Yeah, you know, there's a lot. It was interesting listening to the people as they departed the scene, and you know what was going through my mind, and of course being a little older than many of those that were there, but I was recalling the Kennedy assassinations and some of the other attempts that were made during my lifetime, and I was recalling those and thinking about those, and then moving forward to where we're at today, and we still have a problem with this. So it's shocking, but most people are pretty upset. There's no question about it.
Understandably. Ambassador, thank you so much for taking the time being with us. We're glad you and yours are safe after this tonight. Retired ATF Special Agent Jim Cavanaugh is with me. By now, as you know, we've been reporting that the shooter in this case is deceased, presumably shot by law enforcement. I think the next question will be, is this a lone operator, the proverbial lone wolf, or is this part of some kind of conspiracy? Those are two different things. How will they begin to get, at least put the dots together?
Yeah, well, let's start with the deceased shooter, Lester, and identify him, and then sweep his personal devices, phone, computer, etc., for associates, Confederates, and start interviewing around the circle around him. You've dug out a lot from the reporters and the witnesses since we last talked, and it appears that maybe the shooter. It seemed like to me, watching the video closely, that the first shot or two is where the President Trump reacts. Hey,
Jim, let me just stop you for a second. I just received a new piece of information that I want to get your thoughts on. We're now, from a confirmed source, that the shooter was actually firing from outside the perimeter. That changes a lot in terms of the security posture at these things, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, but what's surprising to me is that a shooter could get in an elevated position at any kind of a Secret Service event, because the first thing that the service does is they get all the elevated positions, and they put their sniper teams up there and lookouts with binoculars and rifles. So it does seem from the witnesses that this was a distant shot now, that the reason the shot wasn't as loud, it was further off in the distance. And it looked like, watching the video, Lester, closely, that when the president turned his head to the right, the first shot or second shot, the first pop or two, is when he grabs his right ear. And then he, on his own volition, goes down. squats down. No, he doesn't fall down, he just squats down. But you can see at that same moment that the spectators behind him are also hunching down as a normal reaction to gunfire. And then there's more rounds right after that. There's maybe another 5 rounds. And Dasha Burns had a witness that she just interviewed, and he talked about he counted 7 rounds. And that was close. I don't know can't tell the exact number. I have to listen to that audio very, very closely. But I mean that sort of jives with what the witness said. So it looks like we had an assassin with a rifle outside the security perimeter. That's why you had mentioned earlier, magnetometers. Well, if you never breach the security perimeter, nobody checks you. And the first shot or second might have been the one intended to kill the former president, but it grazed his right ear.
Yeah, Jim, let me bring back, if I can, Evie Pomporis, a former Secret Service agent again. Evie, thank you for staying with us. I'd like to get your reaction to the fact this person was firing from outside the perimeter. That raises a lot of questions about how these areas are secured.
That's one of the most difficult things when you do outdoor sites. So when we spoke before, when you look at it this way, when you're in a closed environment, where even if it's an arena, at least you're in a closed environment, I only have to worry about what's on the inside. When you do open rallies like this, right? You're outside. You have to worry about line of sight issues. Line of sight is a massive problem. Why is it a problem? Because somebody can be out in the distance and really engage your target from a long range. And there are weapons out there that allow you to do this. So even though, let's say you hunker this whole area down, you've got the magnetometers, you've got the tactical element, everything's locked and tight. How do you secure that outer perimeter? How far do you go? And can you cover everything? That's a problem. These are probably, of all the types of advances you can do, these are probably the least favorite among Secret Service agents, because you had the inability. And even if somebody is in an elevated position or not, how do you secure all those elevated positions when you have weapons with the capabilities that are able to shoot long distances? This is what you are up against.
Yeah, and your point about weapons that can shoot long distances, we tend to think of those as long guns, things that stand out certainly in a crowd, whether you're, no matter what side of the fence you're on. The fact that this person is at some distance was able to strike the former president, does that suggest some
as we covered
some ability beyond the average gun user?
What the news says.
Well, that would be interesting to see, right? Because it's hard to speculate at this point. How far was that person? One of the things that lead me to think that this person was at a distance, when we hear the gunshot, it sounds very faint, very soft, right? It sounds like an echo. That's why so many people mistook it for fireworks. That's why a lot of people weren't sure it was a gunshot. So when you hear the shot like that, it does lead us to believe that it was at a distance. And that's why there's the confusion. I do want to say this, which is really interesting as I watch this. When you do security for these events, one of the greatest concerns are the people inside and stampede issues. And what I have to acknowledge is all these steady and fast, we don't see people really losing it. We don't see people stampeding out, because it's not just the danger of the attacker of what's going to happen. The danger a lot of times can come from within. So I really have to comment on everybody's ability to stay put, to not panic, and to allow the Secret Service, and also look at where that motorcade is. That vehicle where they exit him out, there's people all around, and you see everybody hold their position and allow the security team to evacuate.
Yeah, Evie, thank you. Then I should note that several years ago, working on a story for the Today Show, I went to the Secret Service training facility outside of Washington, and they put me through a simulation in which I was the protectee, waving to a crowd when shots ring out, and the swiftness of these agents moving around me, getting me in the car and driving off was stunning, even though I knew it was going to come. So the training is obviously something they do. They prepare for these kind of moments. I'm sure there'll be a lot of soul searching about what happened in this case, but impressive group of folks who put their lives on the line for these protectees on a daily basis. Evie, we'll get back to you in a few moments. I want to go back to NBC's Dasha Burns. She's outside that Trump rally. She was there when the shots rang crying out. We're obviously
I
grateful
imagine they
you and,
practice and
and
rehearse
the rest
this
of our
over and
team to
over and
find the
over
other
again
journalists, but we do
because they
recognize
never know when something
2
like
spectators
this
were
would
hurt, 1
actually happen.
killed,
So
another in
dress
critical
rehearsal,
condition.
and then
Dasha, you've had some
rehearsal,
pretty heart-wrenching interviews today. People
and then they
saw
go.
a
A lot
lot
of
of things you
preparation
can't
goes
unsee.
into this preparation.
Yeah, Lester, that's absolutely right. People who came to a Trump rally, some of them for the first time, looking forward to seeing the former president. There was music playing, people selling merchandise, people eating food, people reuniting with friends here, not expecting anything like this. Let me just set the scene for you right now.
Yeah,
We are in the
I didn't
parking lot
expect
outside of
anything
the
like
venue.
this neither.
Sirkin, our cameraman, is going to show you. People are kind of in a traffic jam right now. This was a one-way in, one-way out kind of road situation. This is Butler County. It's a pretty rural county. Not a lot of big highways, not a lot of big roads. So people have been, I mean, this is now hours later, and many people still waiting to get out and still waiting and processing everything that they've experienced. I want to introduce you to Tracy, who is stuck in this traffic jam right now. Tracy and Tyler, they're high school friends. They were right there. And Tracy, we've been hearing some of these stories. Can you just walk us through what you saw?
Absolutely. President Trump was up there, and then within 5 minutes, we're hearing pop, 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 pop. And then everybody's on the ground. Everybody's on the floor. And it was just like, what? And we were on the ground level. We were 4 rows back from the stage. And are you coming?
We'll just follow along with you. They're moving in the car here, so we'll just
from the stage. And the people in the bleachers behind us, somebody got popped. Somebody got killed. Somebody died. Somebody got shot. Like this close to where we were. Those bullets, I pray to God for these people's families. Oh my God. But the how is this happening in our country today? And why? Why is it happening? Why?
And Tracy, you were telling me earlier, you and Tyler, you know this county, you know this area. Did you ever think something like this would happen here?
Never. Absolutely never. This shows you how much hate and hostility is in our world today. This is not a good thing. We need to all come together as a human race, We need to help each other out.
Can you describe this area, this county, this place that you and Tyler grew up?
Tyler?
Rural.
Rural. Cows, chickens. This is farmland. This is farmland here.
Butler, that's the county seat, but most of the county's private farmland. So it's people are pretty easygoing.
And Tracy, we talked about, often Trump rallies, people are coming to celebrate, to see the former president. They're coming in with a pretty excited attitude. Can you walk me through what you came in with and what you're coming out with?
I came in with hope and excitement. If you have you ever been to a Trump rally?
Oh, we cover them all the time.
Well, how does it make you feel?
How does it make you feel? How are you feeling?
It makes me feel absolutely great and wonderful.
Wow.
In my heart,
It's amazing.
I feel that this man really wants to help our country because I really feel that.
Is this NBC?
I honest to God, I do, because this country for so long seems to be going down a path
I'm sorry, this buffering.
that
guys.
it really shouldn't be doing.
So, you came in to hear the former president speak, someone you're a fan of, and what is your state of mind now?
He's able to be a fan. I didn't know that. NBC.
Not good. There's too much hate. This is too much. We can't do this as a country. We can't do this. We need to come together as a country, and God willing, we will. I don't know if you're allowed to put that stuff on, but listen, man, my kid is a 4th-year seminarian, and he prays for this country every day. My child. My kid.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you and Tyler are safe. Drive safe. We hope you get home soon. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Lester, they've
I don't know.
got
It's
a
starting
ways
to
to go
buffer,
still.
guys. I'm
There's
not really
a
sure
lot
why
of
it's
cars
starting to buffer.
piling up
Actually
here.
having
There
all
are
the
a few
windows
different
closed.
places that people are trying to exit at this point. A bit of a free-for-all, but people have been kind and generous to one another. People letting cars in that are trying to come in.
Yeah, pretty much
and again,
everything is closed.
just reeling from what they witnessed. Some people very much firsthand, very much.
Hey, hit the like
very,
button,
very
guys,
close
if you,
to the tragedy that we're describing from sort of the law enforcement point of view, the high-level point of view. But
hit the bell
at the end of the day,
so that
Lester,
you'll get,
the people who
notified
were
every time I
here
come
on the ground, particularly those
Especially
who were
the new
close
channels.
to that violence,
Go ahead and hit the like
it's
button.
something they are never going to forget, and it's now associated, of course, with politics, with the state of our democracy for so many of the people that we've been talking to, Lester.
All right, Dasha, thanks. We'll continue to go to you as you get those riveting accounts from folks. NBC News campaign embed joining us on the phone now. She is in Butler, Pennsylvania, near the hospital where there is heavy law enforcement presence. NBC News has not confirmed that the former president is at that hospital, but it's 15 minutes away from where the rally took place. Jillian Franco's there. What are you saying?
What you saying about
Lester, that's right. I'm across the street from Butler Memorial Hospital, and as you mentioned, we do not yet have confirmation
but it was interesting that the
this
woman
is
said
where former President
that
Donald
she gets
Trump
a wonderful
was
feeling
taken,
when she's at a
but
Trump
there's
rally.
a
I don't
heavy
know if
law
they ever
enforcement
said that on
presence here.
NBC at all.
Media was across
I've
the
never
street.
heard
We're
that on
certainly getting
NBC
moved. The hospital is set up
when it was
on a hillside,
Russia.
and there's law enforcement at the top of the hill looking down. There's also law enforcement at the top of the roof of the hospital itself. When I arrived, there's a helicopter circling the building, heavy police presence here, Lester. When I pulled up, I asked the officer how they were doing. He said they're hanging in there.
Apparently
obviously, a terrifying scene here in Butler tonight. Lester?
Yeah, the
now,
access road is
can
cut off to this
identify him
area.
and find out who he is.
It is. We are not allowed to go up there. The police vehicles have moved, but we're not allowed to go up the hill to the hospital itself. And media was staged across the street. They're actually sending us further away from the hospital itself momentarily. But yeah, it was completely blocked off when I arrived here, and still a heavy police presence.
All right, Jillian, thanks very much. Again, we haven't had correct me if I'm wrong from the control room, but I don't think we've had a complete description of the wound suffered by the former president. We have all seen, the blood coming out from near his ear, his right ear. Somebody described as a teardrop of blood, of fresh blood. It appears he might have been grazed by the bullet, but again, we haven't received a complete medical terminology description of the wound, but it does appear that he was certainly hit during all of this. He's largely under his own power, certainly being escorted down to the armored vehicle, but again, seems to be doing okay. In fact, we heard from President Biden a while ago, who said that he appears to be okay. We should note that President Biden says he will be trying to call former President Trump at some point here in the not too distant future. And there the signal of triumph from former President Trump as he was put into that armored car and taken to, we believe, quite possibly the hospital we were just showing you a moment ago. Our investigative correspondent Tom Winter is with us. He continues to dig out fresh details. What more can you tell us, Tom?
Lester, a couple of these things coming from official statements from law enforcement, or for 3 to 4 law enforcement officials, to myself and our colleague Jonathan Dienst. We know that the FBI is now on scene and is assisting the United States Secret Service along with the U.S. Attorney's Office in their investigation into this shooting today at the Trump rally. You were just asking a question about whether we know whether or not the former president was shot directly, either grazed in the ear or in the cheek, or whether or not this was a ricochet. That's something that they're still trying to get a handle on, and whether or not a piece of glass was what may have struck him. But either way, he obviously, from the photographs, was struck in some fashion by something. The other information that we were being told, and I'm going to bring in the reporting of my colleague Kelly O'Donnell on this as well, is that this shooting happened outside the Secret Service perimeter. So for folks that have attended any sort of political rally involving either party, involving a presidential candidate or a former president, you'll notice if you go that you are wanded, or you have to go through a magnetometer, kind of like an airport-style security, if you will. That happens within the perimeter of the event. And leading up to the event, the U.S. Secret Service goes through the the event site itself to make sure that there's nothing nefarious stored inside, that nobody's hiding out and waiting for a rally to begin. And they try to establish a perimeter that would allow them to be able to have a real control over the event. So what we're being told is that this shooting happened outside of that secure perimeter from a high point, specifically where it is. I can't yet tell you. We're waiting to hear about that, but that's some of the information that we're waiting to get on. As far as what you're looking at on screen at the moments that this happened, this is standard protocol. You're looking at the heavy weapons teams that immediately went up on stage. Then you're looking at the Secret Service close protective detail of former President Trump, and this would be very similar at any event involving a former president, that they immediately surround him. Obviously, the Secret Service agents there are putting their lives into their hands if this individual was going to continue to fire. Speaking of the individual that law enforcement believes is deceased, that individual, the alleged shooter rather, is deceased, as I mentioned. That individual may have been shot by law enforcement. That appears to be coming into clarity at this time. We're still waiting on the specific details of that, whether or not that was a counter sniper team or somebody who was close to him. I suspect we'll get more details on that closely. As far as who did this and what their motivations are, there's some background information coming into view, Lester, but as you can imagine, there are a lot of names on social media at this hour. There are a lot of names that have been mentioned to us, and we're really trying to get a lot more clarity on that before we suggest a possible name of the individual who did this. But at this point, there appears to be no ongoing threat, and there's no indication that they're looking for anybody else. But this is now a full-blown federal criminal investigation, as you can imagine, and they will certainly try to determine whether this individual had any help. Not that we've received any indication of that, but that's obviously something that they look into. And the type of rifle that could be used, as you would imagine, to fire from outside the perimeter to get close to that stage would be some sort of a high-powered rifle. The specific nature of that is, again, details that we're still waiting to get, Lester.
All right, Tom, thanks very much. Let me go to Kristen Welker now in our Washington, D.C. bureau, who has more. Kristen?
Well, Lester, just to reset for everyone, we are tracking the ongoing investigation that Tom was just talking about in the wake of former President Trump having been rushed off the stage after shots were fired at the Pennsylvania rally where he was speaking. To set the scene for everyone, the day started with the anticipation, the questions swirling about whether this might be the event where he announced his nominee for vice president. Obviously now the mood, the tone, the focus has shifted to this horrific act of political violence that unfolded at this Pennsylvania rally. President Biden did address the nation just a short time ago, saying this is unheard of. Everybody must condemn it. He said he had tried to speak with the former president, had not been able to, but is continuing those attempts. He's also getting briefed. I want to go to our senior White House correspondent, Kelly O'Donnell, who is following all of this along with us. Kelly, what's the latest there?
Well, from the Biden White House perspective, this is a moment for trying to get information to the president. He, of course, is in charge of the Department of Justice and the Secret Service that are, of course, the agencies that will be working on this. There is always a careful separation between the executive and the law enforcement capabilities. But that's why the Biden White House has a critical role to play to provide the resources at the federal level to investigate this. The president indicated that he also recognizes that state and local officials are very much involved at this right now. Part of what will be a question going forward is what is the immediate change, if any, to the political calendar that is scheduled for this week, with the Republican National Convention expected to be in Milwaukee with lots of important events. Obviously, a full assessment of what is the condition of the former president right now. We don't have confirmed reporting yet about the state of that. When he left this event site, as the video indicates, of course, he was taken and has the resources around him for medical care. President Biden has said he wishes to speak to Donald Trump tonight. That can happen whenever the two are able to connect. That is not necessarily a vital piece in terms of next steps, but it is the kind of gesture and important connection that actually does send a message right now that this is not about the politics of the moment and that there are bigger issues here, with the current president and several former presidents talking about no room for political violence. We're hearing that from many elected officials on Capitol Hill as well. And right now, we're in a period of a few different streams of information. What is the investigation producing? What is known about the shooter involved? The extent to which this was some kind of an organized attempt? Were there others involved? All of those questions need to be sorted out. Then there's the political fallout. There is typically a quieting period after an unexpected event. Normally in campaigns, that would be something far less graphic than this. It might be the death of a loved one in a campaign. It might be a car accident. We've seen all those iterations before, and there's typically a quieting period where both campaigns turn down the volume, everyone catches their breath before the rigor of a campaign resumes again. So this is a critical evening to gather facts, to get a sense of the scope of this, for direct communication between President Biden as a person and former President Donald Trump as a person, and not so much as candidates or in their office and former office. That's part of what's playing out here. Now, the president indicated he would speak again or communicate again if there were further developments, and there are questions to be identified about what next steps there should be and are all the resources there. Even a question about where does former President Trump go in the immediate hours ahead. He, of course, was on the road as a candidate in Pennsylvania. What is the immediate plan for his next steps? Presidents and former presidents have not only a lot of security around them, but often their homes have additional security as well. So finding a way to safely transport him, making certain of his medical situation, and then the necessary communication between the White House and the former president. Those are the things.
Okay, so that's pretty much it. They're just basically going over the same details over and over again. Trump injured, rushed from stage after shots fired at Pennsylvania rally. And as he was being rushed from the stage, we also see that he was holding up his fist and letting us know that he was okay. He did have a cut to his ear some sort of way. They don't know whether it came from a bottle, as what one of the reporters said, or whether it was a bullet that could have struck his ear, or a fragment of a bullet. They don't know what it is. So they said that they couldn't get to the president at the hospital because he's surrounded by Secret Service, and it's just too much for them to be able to get in to get the information. But again, here's the headline stated it like this: Trump injured, rushed from stage after shots fired at Pennsylvania rally. Another headline says there is a possibility that the shots were fired. This is the way it was reported. One of the young reporters said that whenever she goes to a Trump rally, there's a feeling of joy, and she gets all of these wonderful feelings when she goes to a Trump rally, who is a NBC correspondent. And this is what she was saying. And so I guess the tables are being turned in favor of Donald Trump. I would say that I would actually say that many people after this, it's a possibility that they this may be the thing that gets them out and gets them to vote, gets them off the fence, whether or not they was people who were going between the left and the right. They were kind of on the fence when it comes down to whether they should vote for Trump or wait for someone to replace Biden, who might be a more favorable person. But as we know, Biden has been showing signs of dementia, And so since he's been showing all these signs of dementia, it's a possibility that he would be replaced by Kamala Harris. And of course, that would be something that might not work for the Democratic Party, since they know Harris is not liked that much. As a matter of fact, there have been a number of people who have been bold in the political platform of the Democrats to say that no, they don't want Kamala to be president, and they've been doing a head search for someone else to take that place. One person that they possibly would looking towards would be the governor of California. And then, of course, someone even made a joke that they might even run Michelle Obama as the presidential candidate. But so all of these people are, possibilities, since Biden, it seems like, may not make it through the next season of the next 4 years. So there's that, and then also the possibility that Biden might even be replaced because he's been making so many mistakes when he's been commenting, calling his vice president Donald Trump, also saying other things, like, for instance, he called Putin, mixed Putin and Zelensky up. So there's that worry, that fear that President Biden is too old, and he's running into some mental dementia that might hinder his effectiveness to be president of the United States. And again, hit the like button. Also subscribe to the channel. If you're new to the channel, we are on Coffee with Jesus Talk, and Coffee with Jesus Talk is on Rumble as well. If you'd like to go over to the Rumble platform, look for Coffee with Jesus Talk. They may let you see it. Again, Vincent Rose Live is one of the platforms. And then also, we are also live streaming, possibly for the first time, on Truth in Media. And then also we are live streaming for the first time, well, maybe the second time, on Beyond Four Closed Doors. So if you want to know what's going on, subscribe to this channel and hit the bell notification so that you'll be able to get more content when I'm up on the platforms that I go up on. And again, thank you for tuning in. It's wonderful to see you guys, the same guys. You guys actually just switched from Coffee with Jesus channel, Coffee with Jesus Talk, and came over here to Vincent Rose Live. So thank you for coming over. And also, every time I'm on this platform, I see a couple of new people on this platform as well. So thank you so much for joining up. And there's Setsuna again. So thank you. God bless you, Setsuna, and for your comments. Many of those comments, Setsuna, we cannot say on air because, these comments that we make sometimes have a tendency to rub the YouTube algorithm the wrong way. We'll kind of wait to see how other people and what the platforms are allowed to say in the future. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are getting their content ready so that they could go over there and really talk about it in truth. So I'm looking forward to that too. So we'll be talking about this a little bit later. Let's pray for our nation. Let's continue to be in prayer. Father, we just ask you for your blessings and tremendous, God. We need, Father, your tremendous hand of mercy over every person, God, that is injured or hurt or anything, Lord, God, that might have happened. We heard some people were struck and injured. We don't know. We don't know anything. So we just doing what is right. We pray, Father, that your light would shine on them and that the truth would come out and your kingdom would come and you would deliver us from evil today. in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Well, I'm going to get out of here. God bless you. And remember to keep being prayerful and look for Jesus. He's coming. The Bible says he's going to come, and he's going to come like a thief in the night. We are getting very close in this world to the time that Jesus talked about when he comes. They'd be like the days of Noah. There'd be violence and all sorts of things happening. And we see that all of that is happening right now. So be prayerful, and I'll look for talking to you a little bit later. God bless.